Hi, welcome back to Mario & Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story. I'm Yami no Senshi.
And I'm Phoenix.
And with us today we have a special guest. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Irish Rodent.
Alright, thanks for joining us today. We're finally getting into a proper dungeon.
Bowser, you've been drinking for like days now. Please stop.
He's just thirsty. It's good, he's gotta stay hydrated.
He needs all the extra water he can get because as soon as he stops drinking... I didn't time that well. As soon as he stops drinking, he just completely empties of water.
So he's just peeing constantly?
I guess?
I try not to think about that.
Maybe he's somehow converting it into fuel for his fire breath?
Has he actually figured out how to separate hydrogen and oxygen inside his body?
Probably.
So not only can he breathe fire, it's a nice clean burn too.
Ooh.
He's an environmentalist.
Green energy.
As opposed to red energy, the kind that Mario can use.
Yes.
But I thought Luigi used green energy.
Exactly.
Bowser's stealing Luigi's energy.
No, he's generating it.
Oh.
I guess that's okay then.
So Bowser's powering Luigi?
Yes.
Okay.
You're not supposed to find that out until like episode 12. No spoilers.
You find out that Luigi is God.
Yes.
That is our gimmick for this dungeon. On the top screen you got Bowser just drinking water. And anytime you can move him away and it'll lower the water level. Your standard water level puzzle dungeon, except you don't have to constantly go back to somewhere stupid just to raise and lower the water. That little, I wouldn't even call it a puzzle block. We get our first action piece for this level.
I could see that first one tripping up a few people if you didn't realize what you're supposed to do immediately, because then it covers them all up. And if you weren't paying attention, you'd be like, oh, wait, what? I didn't know I had to remember them.
Oh no.
So I'm not entirely certain why these bloopers are filled with water when bloopers live underwater anyway.
Extra salinated.
I think that is actually relevant later.
It sort of is, yes. These are our first new enemy for the dungeon. They really have one attack. They will either fly up to the top screen or stay on the bottom screen, and depending on what they do, that's how high they will bounce. That one went up really high, so he bounces when he hits. If they don't go up high enough, they roll, and will get to you faster.
Why is the battle screen not underwater? My immersion! And also submersion.
Yes. I like how they throw in some of the older, worse enemies into the battles, and you can just completely ignore them because you can counter kill them.
Yeah. You do actually deal quite a amount of good percentage of your damage in this game through just countering all the enemies.
Now some enemies do have attacks that will hit you through your defense, correct? Or can you always fully nullify the damage they would have done if you timed it properly?
Other than a handful of enemies that will... handful of bosses, rather, that will hurt Bowser with no chance to block. No, you can pretty much always get around it.
Nice job on the 4 there.
That reminds me, I do have to issue a correction. There is actually a pattern to the numbers. Apparently been coddled by Dream Team, which has a shorter pattern and moves much slower. So it's much easier to get 4s, 5s, and 6s. Though I don't think Dream Team has 6s.
I think later in this, I noticed a 7 on the wheel somewhere. If you ignore a stat, it can actually get pretty high.
I think it's in relation to your level.
Possibly.
Generally, if you pump one stat, you'll get diminishing returns, and if you ignore another...
Yeah, it'll grow.
That door is our objective for this dungeon, and we need a thing to open it. It's not actually a key, but it might as well be a key.
Bowser has key doors inside him.
He kind of has one of everything. It's pretty convenient, actually.
I really hope the keys aren't one-time use. Bowser just has parts of him that break when they try to open something else.
God.
As Irish Rodent was mentioning earlier, if you try and fight the bloopers when there's no water in Bowser, you fight paper bloopers.
That's the wrong series.
They're all dried up and sad. Similar to the fat bloopers, they will either go up really high and float over you once, and if you fuck it up, they'll hit you twice. Or they will float low and go right at you, and then go off the left side of the screen. It is possible to counter them like that. A little difficult because you have to jump very soon after they pass over you.
Quite a bit trickier than the fat water bloopers.
Now I just want to say how much I love the little dopey dances they do on the level up screen.
One of the people who did the first Mario and Luigi game, their avatar is still Mario's doofy dance.
I don't think I noticed. Are their dances the same across all the games?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Here's our last enemy. A little more complicated to dodge and counter.
Not even sure what it is. It's just like a giant bean.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's fat.
Are you fighting Bowser's kidney stones? What are you?
Is it fatty tissue, maybe? I don't know.
With a giant spiked club.
He will spit out an egg and either forehand or backhand it, and that's the brother is going towards. If he's got his eyes closed when he swings, that means that he's not actually going to hit it that time.
I like how at the start of the battle you got the initiative by jumping and the spikies didn't actually hurt you.
The game is actually nice in that regard, yes. If there are enemies that can't be jumped or hammered and you get a initial strike on a field enemy that can, you'll hit everything no matter what.
That's kind of them.
Yeah. I wouldn't think they would make it hurt you when there's no way to see in advance. The least they would do is just have it not do damage to them, but it's nice that it does anyway.
There's a cannon. We'll come back to that later. Veterans of the series may know exactly what power-up we're going to get soon. There's the thing we need. It's really just a thing. I wish there was more to it.
An electric MacGuffin inside Bowser.
I have forgotten, what is the benefit of collecting all of the Windows logos?
All the Windows puzzle pieces, you unlock your next special attack once you get all 10.
Ah, that's right.
You collect all of them and you unlock Bill Gates.
Yes. He replaces Luigi.
Does he speak nonsense English at that point?
Maybe?
Instead of nonsense Italian?
Gimmick number 2. Get these little explodey weird things into the worms, and they do this.
Those worms look like something out of my nightmare.
Really not too surprising that Bowser has worms.
No.
And we get to do this again.
As long as the blooper doesn't ruin it.
We are outside his territory, apparently.
It's just doing little figure eights.
Yep.
And whatever those are, those bones or whatever, just have faces on them. Bowser's body parts just have faces.
It's all very integral to the operation of the Bowser Pump Works.
Up to this point, you've been repeatedly drowning Toadsworth.
Yes. Yes, we have. He seems none the worse for wear, though.
He probably deserved it.
He certainly thinks he does. After abandoning the princess for the umpteenth time.
Should just leave him in there. Lock him up in a prison. Let him think about what he's done.
I wish I could, but I need that button.
It's so shiny.
I have to press it.
Well, then only open the top half of it. You can jump. You're Jumpman. Jump over the bottom of it. Smack the button. Leave him in there. It could work.
Wow, you're mean.
I just stand for justice.
Repeatedly drowning an innocent man is justice?
He had one job. Literally.
He did have one job.
Actually, is effectively the princess's vizier. I think he has lots of jobs.
He's Jafar?
Yes, only incompetent instead of evil.
Who's Iago? Starlo?
Who's the most obnoxious?
Starlo.
Yeah.
Returning from previous games, you can squish Mario, make him tiny.
And I understand that it works that way, because Luigi's in the back, and so using his hammer hits Mario who's in front of him, but I'm really surprised that, being the butt monkey that he is, Luigi's not the one that gets smacked in the head with the hammer.
Don't worry, he won't be escaping this adventure unscathed. And he's free now.
Curses.
I do like leaving Mario tiny for all the cutscenes. No one seems to care. Mario's at half height.
He's shorter than Toad now. Well, I guess that's what he looks like in the regular games before you get the mushroom, so I guess the other characters are kind of used to it.
Toad just makes it out. No problem with all the monsters or jumping or swimming.
No, he's fine.
Well, now as you repeatedly drown him some more, that's how he's actually getting out.
I hope he can swim.
I assume he can.
I think his head looks like it would float.
I was gonna say, the toads might just be buoyant.
Someone throw a mushroom in a lake and tell me what happens. Oh, I'm glad I bought 2 of those.
Well, now you can go to a third picnic.
Now you can bring Bowser along.
Now I'm picturing Bowser in overalls.
The thread picks up when we start getting fan art. That's assignment 1. Unfortunately, you can't go into battle with Tiny Mario.
It makes him big. It's funny that it actually has an animation for it on the map screen, and it doesn't just start the battle and then he's big.
If you're small, it should actually make you do half damage or something like that.
That would be terrible.
That would be really bad. So you've probably noticed I'm trying to dodge around fights as much as I can. Because after the first time, they're really not that interesting.
Missing out on all that precious experience.
I'll go back for it later.
Off-screen grinding.
Yeah. There's a good reason for that, too. Every level in this game does count quite a bit.
They just get so angry that they ram their head into multiple surfaces.
Yep.
That's what I do when I'm angry.
Whenever I make you eat something you don't like, just start smashing into things.
And that's why we're not allowed to cook fish.
Maybe they didn't hang from the ceiling with their mouths open, this wouldn't be a problem.
And if their mouths weren't a perfect fit for those bombs or whatever the heck Bowser is producing in his body.
Good point. What is Bowser repeatedly producing that explodes?
That's a spicy meatball.
Again, part of the biology of the pump works. Since your average Bowser actually has two stomachs, one for food, one for water, the pump works is essential for getting water out of the water stomach. That's what we're in right now. The explodey bombs create new pathways for when he accidentally swallows more viscous fluids. You need to break them up sometimes.
So he can just blow out walls of his body and let stuff through places where it shouldn't have been.
Right, it's also a containment system for the horrible, horrible worm infestation he seems to have picked up.
New power-up!
Yep. We got the Fire Flower power-up.
Which is perfect for, you know, being underwater.
You and your logic.
I'm gonna show it to you. When it's Luigi's turn.
You used to go find one of those things and have it drip fluid on you to heal you up.
I never want to hit the globins because half of them are just save points.
And half of them just talk forever.
Yeah, well, the one at the beginning of this dungeon just tells you how to go down pipes again. Here's Fire Flower. Whichever brother is holding the bigger fireball, you hit their button and they throw fire. For the very last one, you can throw it from both. In my test recording and then several failed recordings, I've yet to get an excellent with it.
It's pretty rough. You've got to really mash. You have to start almost immediately is the hard part.
Yeah. I might have to use my keyboard for that. I don't know if the Xbox controller can pick up the button presses fast enough.
Ah, that's right.
Because I do have my wonderful Chinese knockoff receiver.
Works just fine, though.
It works okay. Bit of a bitch to get working, but... Remember that cannon? Finally gonna get to use it.
It would have made a lot more sense if there were things like this lying around that Bowser had inhaled. Oh, he inhaled a cannon, and so there's a cannon lying around that you can use to shoot. But everything is just part of or being produced by Bowser's body, which makes no sense. It's like Bowser designed his own body. Like he was sitting there and someone was designing it and he's like, yeah, just put a cannon in there. That's just pretty cool.
You know he would if given the choice.
Yeah.
Oh, totally. With that little puzzle solved, we finally get our thing.
You got the thing.
Yeah, it's the Stingler. That means literally nothing. And once we put it in the door, it will never come up again.
It's literally just, hey, we have a key for a door, but it's a body part, so it's not a key. What should we call it? You make up a name.
Could be worse. You could be retrieving poop or something.
Yeah.
Let's hope we don't go to that area.
We'll never know. You know, it could be in his right arm.
It's in his horn.
Yes. Before we leave, there is one more thing to pick up. Spiderware gives you a little more defense than the Picnicware and also has a nice attack boost. That'll go on Mario since he's got more power at the moment.
You're I'm one of those people. I'm the guy who says Luigi has less power, so let's give it to him and make them equal. At least in a game like this where there's only 2 of them anyway. In a bigger RPG, it's just stack the main character.
Yes. Let that door open. We got a lot more exploring to do.
How did one door open 3 pathways?
It was like an intersection.
That will fade out with me grinding off screen. While I did that, level 6 is Turtle Shell rank. With that, I can now equip a second piece of equipment. So the brothers get socks. 10% defense boost.
It's only 5% per sock. Not very good. Unless they're only wearing 1 sock, in which case, I guess it's a slightly better sock.
I don't know, it didn't look like the picture was a pair of socks.
For 250 coins a pop, it better have been a whole pair.
It better have been a pack at that point.
These are the most comfortable socks you have ever worn.
Well, after the pump works, I'm glad we got the socks after the fact, because walking around in wet socks.
So you put your nice, clean, dry socks into your wet shoes.
Yes.
And you stuffed your old soggy socks into your backpack.
No, they weren't wearing socks.
Oh, that's right. They were just barefoot.
Yep.
Just shoes.
Unfortunately, Mario does not stay tiny for this cutscene either.
Does that mean they're also not wearing any other piece of clothing that's not specifically listed in the equipment screen?
Maybe.
Fireproof bugs.
Yay, Starlow's gone!
Ah!
It is the best day.
Mario's a dick.
Yeah, he just threatens his brother with physical violence. You know, I'm gonna hit you over the head with this hammer if you don't go fight this boss.
Maybe he just scared him with the sound.
But this is Scuttlet, the first Mario and Luigi boss. Closer to your traditional RPG boss, there's no variety like the blooper statue. Dodging him is all in the eyes. He will always look at who he's going to attack for all 3 of his moves.
Meanwhile, just pound him in the face with that shell repeatedly.
Yeah, I do a little more damage with that because it's easier to get an excellent on it.
I do like how his eyes go slightly derpy every time you hit him.
Stands out with the shell because you hit him so many times.
No! Keep him! We don't want Starlow back, thank you.
And I have not managed to counter that attack.
You missed your chance to smack Starlow with a hammer.
I know, I'm so disappointed in myself.
I think I actually used the Fire Flower on some bosses because it does do that, like, burning debuff. I don't know if it would work on this one since he's sitting on the flame pipe and isn't affected by it.
Yeah, I figure he's probably not weak to fire, even though having just got the Fire Flower ability, you figure the next boss would be.
Yeah. Apparently he's weak to Turtle Shell.
He's weak to an ass kicking.
Like in Mario RPG, jump was actually one of the elements. In the guide it would show you like the resistance for all the types. And, you know, you could hit him with fire flowers, so they had fire resistance. Mallow had like lightning attacks, so they had lightning resistance. And they'd have like physical, but then since Mario had jump skills, there was a specific column for jump resistance.
And this is the reason I did some grinding off screen, otherwise I'd be sitting here for another 5 minutes of pounding.
could do like how the boss can wrap around from the left side of the screen back to the right. I wish you could turn around and start attacking the boss from his backside by kicking the shell off the left side of the screen.
That would be great.
Bowser got his fire back. I actually had to switch to regular attacks halfway through that fight. In a previous attempt, I killed him too fast, and we didn't get to see that little drifting attack.
Chippy. You lying son of a...
I always think of him as Chippy now because him and Bowser talk all the time, but he doesn't really talk to the brothers much.
Yeah, he gives you the tutorials at the beginning and then just kind of shuts up.
Right, no one's talking to him and using his name.
Would Bowser have even recognized Darlow if he owned up to what his actual name was?
They did see each other, but Bowser probably wouldn't have remembered.
That brings us to the end of this episode. Thanks everyone for watching, and join us next time as we set everything on fire.